Today, we're diving into 5 of the most underrated performance machines of the 1990s. Number 5. The 1995 Ford Thunderbird Super Coupe is one of those rare performance cars that quietly slipped through the cracks of automotive history. Only 574 units were produced for that final model year. 574. That makes it rarer than many exotic cars people talk about every day. And yet, most enthusiasts barely mention it. At first glance, the Thunderbird Super Coupe, often called the SC, looked like a smooth, stylish Grand Tourer. It had a long hood, a low roofline, a wide planted stance. It looked refined, comfortable, almost relaxed. You would never guess it had serious performance hiding underneath. That is what made it a true sleeper. Because once you pressed the accelerator, everything changed. Under the hood sat a 3.8-liter V6 engine equipped with an Eaton M90 Roots type supercharger. This was not a basic V6. The supercharger forced compressed air into the engine, dramatically increasing its power output. The result was 230 horsepower and a massive 330 pound-feet of torque. In 1995, those were strong numbers, especially for a personal luxury coupe. And this wasn't just about peak horsepower. The torque came on strong and early, delivering smooth, forceful acceleration that pushed you back into your seat. For drivers who wanted full control, Ford offered a 5-speed manual transmission. That option transformed the Thunderbird SC into something far more engaging than its luxury appearance suggested. Shift through the gears. Hear the supercharger whine. Feel the torque surge. It was an experience few expected from a car that looked so composed. But power alone does not define greatness. What truly set the Thunderbird SC apart from many American competitors of its era was its independent rear suspension. At a time when many domestic performance cars still relied on solid rear axles, the Thunderbird SC offered a fully independent setup. That meant improved handling, better stability in corners, and a smoother ride over uneven pavement. It could carve through curves with confidence. It could absorb bumps without unsettling the chassis. It delivered a rare balance of comfort and control. This was a car built not just for straight-line speed, but for real-world driving dynamics. On the outside, the Thunderbird SC carried the signature styling of the 10th generation Thunderbird. Slim horizontal headlights stretched across the front. The grille and lower air intake fed air to the supercharged engine, giving the nose a purposeful look. It was sleek, low-slung, sporty without being loud. The body lines flowed smoothly from front to rear, reinforcing its grand touring identity. It looked like a car designed for long highway stretches at high speed. Inside, however, opinions were mixed. The sport seats featured high side bolsters, clearly designed to hold the driver in place during aggressive driving. While supportive, they did not necessarily scream luxury. The interior design itself was somewhat understated. Some critics called it bland. Materials were functional rather than extravagant. But this car was not built to impress showroom visitors with flashy trim. It was built to perform. Unfortunately, the Thunderbird SC faced challenges beyond the road. By the mid-1990s, internal issues within Ford affected development and marketing priorities. The Super Coupe was expensive to engineer and produce. The supercharged engine, independent suspension, and advanced components increased manufacturing costs. It also weighed more than initially expected, which sparked debates about efficiency and practicality. As a result, the car did not receive the aggressive marketing push it needed. It became something of a black sheep within the Thunderbird lineup. Sales never reached the levels Ford had hoped for, and by 1995, production numbers had dwindled to just 574 units. Then, quietly, it was gone. No dramatic farewell, no massive celebration, just the end of a bold experiment. Today, the 1995 Ford Thunderbird Super Coupe stands as one of the most underappreciated American performance cars of the 1990s. It combined supercharged muscle with refined ride quality. It offered advanced suspension technology ahead of many competitors. It delivered genuine driving excitement wrapped in a smooth, mature design. It was not a flashy sports car. It was not a lightweight track weapon. It was something different. A grand touring coupe with real performance credentials. A luxury car with muscle beneath its skin. A rare machine that dared to blend comfort and power. Number 4. The 1990 Mercury Cougar XR7 is one of those rare American performance cars that quietly slipped through history without the recognition it truly deserved. Only 841 units were produced for that model year with the supercharged setup. That makes it incredibly rare. Yet despite its limited production and impressive engineering, it remains one of the most overlooked performance coupes of its era. If you have never heard of it, you are not alone. At first glance, the Cougar XR7 does not scream high performance. Its styling is smooth, refined, almost understated. It carries the elegant design language Mercury was known for at the time. But beneath that sleek exterior lies something far more serious. This was not just another mid-size personal luxury coupe. It was a carefully engineered blend of muscle, technology, and comfort. In 1990, Mercury aimed to create a car that could compete with both domestic muscle machines and refined imports. It needed power, it needed handling, and it needed sophistication. The answer sat under the hood. The XR7 came equipped with a 3.8-liter supercharged V6 engine. This was not a naturally aspirated motor. It featured a belt-driven supercharger that forced additional air into the engine, dramatically increasing output. The result was 210 horsepower and an impressive 315 pound-feet of torque. For 1990, those were strong numbers. But torque is where this engine truly shined. The supercharger delivered low-end pull that made the car feel quick the moment you pressed the throttle. Acceleration was smooth, confident, immediate. The XR7 featured a fully independent suspension system. That meant improved balance, better cornering stability, and a more refined ride compared to traditional solid axle setups. Four-wheel disc brakes came standard, along with anti-lock braking. That added a layer of control and safety that was still relatively advanced at the time. This was not just a car that could move quickly in a straight line. It was engineered to handle curves with confidence. Drivers who preferred full engagement could opt for a 5-speed manual transmission. That option gave enthusiasts a more connected driving experience, allowing them to extract every bit of performance from the supercharged V6. For those who preferred smooth convenience, a 4-speed automatic transmission was also available. It delivered consistent, seamless shifts while maintaining the car's refined character. But perhaps the most impressive feature of the 1990 Cougar XR7 was its adjustable suspension system. This was technology ahead of its time. Drivers could select between firm mode for sharper handling or automatic mode for a smoother, more comfortable ride. In automatic mode, the car's onboard computer monitored driving conditions and adjusted suspension settings on the fly. Heavy load in the trunk? Sharp corner at speed? Uneven pavement? The system responded instantly. It was like having an intelligent co-pilot constantly optimizing the car's behavior for stability and comfort. And the innovation did not stop there. The supercharged engine worked alongside an intercooler system. The intercooler reduced the temperature of compressed air entering the engine, improving efficiency and helping maintain consistent performance. Combined with its rear-wheel drive layout, the Cougar XR7 delivered a balanced driving experience that few American coupes of its class could match. It blended muscle and refinement in a way that felt modern, even by today's standards. The early 1990s were a transitional period for the American auto industry. Buyers were shifting preferences. Mercury itself often lived in the shadow of its parent brand, Ford. As a result, even impressive models like the Cougar XR7 struggled to build a lasting spotlight. Despite offering power, handling, advanced suspension technology, and luxury comfort, the car simply did not receive the attention and over time, it quietly became a rarity. Today, finding a clean 1990 Mercury Cougar XR7 is no easy task. With only 841 supercharged examples built, surviving units represent a small but meaningful piece of American automotive history. It stands as proof that performance and comfort do not have to be opposites. And for the lucky few who own one today, it is more than just a car. Number 3. The 1995 Ford F-150 SVT Lightning is one of the rarest performance trucks most people have never truly appreciated. Between 1993 and 1995, Ford produced just 11,563 units of this first-generation Lightning. In 1995 alone, only about 2,280 trucks rolled off the line. That makes it rare. But what makes it important is something much bigger than production numbers. They were not built to challenge sports cars. But Ford saw an opportunity. At the time, General Motors had already shaken the industry with high-performance machines like the GMC Cyclone and the Chevrolet 454 SS. These trucks proved that performance and utility could coexist. Ford didn't want to be left behind, so the company handed the project to its special vehicle team. Their mission was simple but ambitious: create a truck with Mustang-like performance, keep the strength and toughness of the F-Series, and make it fast enough to command respect. The result was the first-generation SVT Lightning. Under the hood sat a modified 5.8-liter Windsor V8 engine, also known as the 351 cubic inch V8. This wasn't a standard work truck motor. SVT engineers upgraded components, improved airflow, and tuned it for performance. The final output stood at 240 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. Today, those numbers may not seem extraordinary. But in the early 1990s, for a full-size pickup, they were impressive. This truck could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in approximately 7.6 seconds. Remember, this was a regular cab pickup, not a lightweight sports coupe. Top speed reached around 110 miles per hour. Quick for its time, quick for a truck. But power alone wasn't enough. The Lightning featured a specially tuned suspension system that lowered the truck and improved handling. It had stiffer shocks, thicker sway bars, and a performance-oriented setup that reduced body roll. This wasn't just about straight-line speed, it was about control. To handle the added performance, Ford paired the engine with a 4-speed automatic transmission. It even included an auxiliary oil cooler to help manage heat during aggressive driving. That detail mattered. It showed that this truck wasn't just about marketing, it was engineered to perform consistently under pressure. It wore unique 17-inch aluminum wheels wrapped in performance tires. A monochromatic grille and subtle badging gave it identity without shouting. Inside, the cabin featured sport bucket seats with bolstered sides to keep the driver secure during spirited driving. The focus wasn't luxury, it was performance. By 1995, production numbers had declined significantly. That year's limited run of just 2,280 units further cemented its rarity. And then it was gone. No dramatic farewell. No massive marketing campaign. Just a quiet exit. It proved that a full-size pickup could handle corners, accelerate quickly, and deliver driving excitement. It pushed boundaries. It challenged expectations. It blended performance and capability in a way few vehicles had done before. Today, finding a clean example is not easy. Production numbers were limited, and many were used as intended, driven hard. That scarcity only adds to its appeal. A truck built at a time when performance pickups were still a radical idea. For those lucky enough to own one, it wasn't just a pickup. It was something different. Something ahead of its time, a true performance icon hiding in plain sight. Number 2. The 1992 GMC Typhoon is one of the rarest American performance vehicles most people have never even heard of. Only about 2,200 units were produced that year. That makes it rare. But rarity is only part of the story. What truly makes the Typhoon special is what it represented. In the early 1990s, SUVs were not fast. They were boxy, slow, and built for utility. They were meant for hauling groceries, towing small trailers, or handling rough weather. No one expected an SUV to challenge sports cars. But GMC had a different idea. At first glance, the Typhoon looked like a tough compact two-door SUV. It didn't scream supercar killer, it didn't have flashy wings or exotic curves. It looked muscular, wide stance, aggressive front fascia, blacked-out trim. It looked serious, but underneath that bold exterior was something completely unexpected. The Typhoon borrowed its heart from the GMC Cyclone pickup truck, another legendary performance machine from the same era. Under the hood sat a turbocharged 4.3-liter V6 engine, also known as a 262 cubic inch V6. It produced 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. In 1992, those were massive numbers for an SUV. And this wasn't just about horsepower. It was about how that power was delivered. The Typhoon featured a turbocharger that forced extra air into the engine, creating explosive acceleration. It also came with an all-wheel drive system, helping it launch off the line with incredible grip. The result was shocking. An SUV, in 1992, running 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. That was faster than many sports cars of its time. The quarter mile passed in about 14.1 seconds. At the time, that meant it could outrun vehicles like the Acura NSX in a straight line. Yes, a compact SUV from GMC was quicker off the line than one of Japan's most respected sports cars. That kind of performance didn't just surprise people, it rewrote expectations. But the Typhoon wasn't just about numbers, it had presence. The exterior featured wide tires tucked under flared arches. The stance was low and planted. The body wore a monochromatic look, often finished in black with matching trim. It looked mean, purposeful, almost intimidating. Step inside, and the atmosphere changed again. The interior was wrapped in black leather. Bucket seats hugged the driver and passenger. The cabin felt sporty, not family-oriented. This wasn't designed to shuttle kids to soccer practice. It was built for drivers. And to unlock its full performance, there was a technique. To achieve the quickest launches, drivers would use a method similar to what drag racers call brake boosting. Left foot firmly pressing the brake, right foot pressing the accelerator. Wait for the turbo boost gauge to climb. Feel the engine building pressure, then release the brake. The Typhoon would leap forward with shocking force. The all-wheel drive system would grip the pavement, and the turbocharged V6 would deliver a surge of torque that pinned you back in your seat. For an SUV, it felt unreal. The Typhoon also wasn't ideal for heavy hauling or serious off-roading. It sacrificed some traditional SUV utility in favor of performance. For many consumers at the time, that didn't make sense. As a result, GMC kept production limited. The Typhoon was built in small numbers, and after a short run, it disappeared. But what it left behind was a legacy. But in 1992, that idea was revolutionary. The Typhoon didn't just bend the rules, it shattered them. It proved that an SUV could be fast, that practicality and performance didn't have to be opposites, that power could come in unexpected shapes. The 1992 GMC Typhoon wasn't just a quick SUV, it was America's first true performance SUV. And for those lucky enough to drive one, it wasn't just transportation, it was a game changer. Number 1. The 1999 Ford Taurus SHO isn't just another sedan you'd see blending into traffic. At first glance, it looks like a typical late 90s family car. Smooth curves, rounded edges, conservative styling. Nothing flashy, nothing aggressive. But beneath that understated design sits one of the rarest performance sedans Ford ever produced. Only about 3,300 units were built for the 1999 model year. That alone makes it special. But rarity is just the beginning of this story. To understand why this car matters, we need to go back a few years. The Taurus SHO name had already built a serious reputation. Earlier generations were known for surprising performance, sharp handling, and engines developed with Yamaha. They were quick, unconventional, and ahead of their time. Then came the third generation, produced from 1996 to 1999, and everything changed. Gone were the boxy lines of the earlier SHOs. In their place came a softer, more rounded body design. The entire car looked smoother, more aerodynamic, more futuristic. Some critics called it odd, others said it wasn't exactly beautiful. The SHO had unique alloy wheels, sportier seats designed to hold you in place during aggressive driving, special front and rear bumpers that gave it a slightly more purposeful stance. Even small touches made a difference. Ford added a wind deflector to the driver's side windshield wiper. It might sound minor, but it helped keep the wiper stable at high speeds. Under the hood sat a 3.4-liter V8 producing 235 horsepower. The engine was developed with help from Yamaha, continuing the partnership that had defined earlier SHOs. For a front-wheel drive family sedan in the late 1990s, that was serious power. The car could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in the mid-6-second range. It was quick, smooth, and surprisingly refined. On the highway, it felt stable and confident. Press the throttle, and it responded instantly. It was the kind of car that could embarrass unsuspecting sports cars at a stoplight. But as impressive as the engine was, it wasn't perfect. After about 50,000 miles, some owners began experiencing mechanical issues. The most notable problem involved the camshafts and sprockets. In certain cases, the cam sprockets could separate from the camshaft. When that happened, the engine could suffer catastrophic failure. It wasn't a universal issue. Out of roughly 20,000 third-generation SHOs produced between 1996 and 1999, estimates suggest around 1,200 were affected. That means the majority of owners never experienced the problem. Still, it became part of the car's legacy. For today's buyers, it's something to be aware of. Many surviving examples have already been repaired or modified to prevent failure, making them far more reliable than they were when new. Despite its performance and engineering, sales began to decline. The peak year for this generation was 1997, with around 9,000 units sold. After that, demand tapered off. By 1999, production numbers had dropped significantly. Ford ultimately decided to discontinue the SHO after the 1999 model year. At the time, the company was shifting its focus. Luxury brands like Lincoln and Jaguar were receiving more attention. The performance sedan market was evolving, and the SHO no longer aligned with Ford's broader strategy. And just like that, it was gone. No dramatic farewell, no grand finale, just the quiet end of an unusual experiment. Today, the 1999 Ford Taurus SHO stands as a forgotten gem of the 1990s. It represents a time when Ford was willing to take risks, a time when a family sedan could hide a Yamaha-engineered V8 under its hood. It may not have been the most reliable car. It may not have been the most beautiful. And it certainly wasn't the most popular. But it was bold, different, rare. And sometimes, that's exactly what makes a car unforgettable. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten performance icons, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which one you would take home.